Hey guys, welcome back to the EvaResto YouTube channel. Hopefully we're going to be doing some more content on this channel and not leave a 2-year gap between videos like we just have. So sorry about that if you are one of our subscribers. And yeah, starting off with a little bit more of an exciting one today perhaps, is with this car here. I am taking it drag racing. Yes, this very heavily stanced, laid out Volkswagen Beetle, I am taking it SantaPod Raceway, and hopefully we're going to set some good times in it. Contrary to how it looks here as sort of a laid out car, it is actually a pretty fast car. It's fully built. And yeah, all year I've been itching to race it because I've been around in it, done loads of shows, loads of little events and stuff like that, all up and down the country. And it's a brilliant street car. It's super reliable, it's comfortable, it's good on long journeys, it's very loud, but it's still a great car to use. So yeah, I'll show you through that car a little bit now, show you through a few of the things that we did to it, but not only make it look cool like it does, but also help it become, you know, hopefully a fast, quite capable little car. So let me introduce you to the car a little bit. It's a 2003 Mexican-built Volkswagen Beetle, only we've rebuilt it now out of purest repellent. So when we started building this car, we had a few things in mind. We wanted it to be fast, we wanted it to be low, we wanted it to look very good, we wanted it to be very enjoyable to drive. Doing any of those things on their own is fairly easy. Doing them all together does require a little bit more careful thought and planning. We've probably done about 2,000 miles in this car this year, fairly trouble-free. We've been to a few shows, picked up a few awards and stuff like that, which is all great fun. So what goes into building a car like this? Well, there's a few things. First and foremost, and probably most obvious, is air suspension. If you're going to want your car to sit like this, but you want it to obviously be functional and still work like a normal car, then you're going to need something like air suspension. This car runs one of our premium kits with a few upgrades here and there. So we have Spax adjustable shocks all around with rose jointed bushings, and we do have rose jointed spring plates in the rear as well. So it's fully adjustable in every sense of the word, both height and damping stiffness. However, this car here isn't on a strictly bolt-on kit. We do have quite a lot of modifications. Like in the back here, you can see the large arch tubs, which have been fabricated to allow space for a much bigger wheel and tyre combination. And also, difficult to see here, but the boot floor is actually raised around 2 inches as well, because we raised the engine and gearbox 2 inches to help with lots of sort of suspension stuff when running this low. So in the front here, you can see we also have a similar sort of arch tub setup, and actually a petrol tank which sits a little bit higher and further back than usual. And this was done to allow a little bit more room for the beam and frame head raise, which all sits around 2 inches higher than stock. Extra to that, we have a full fire suppression system. Now this is connected to 2 different pull rods with a safety pin in it, obviously, to stop somebody from just pulling it randomly. And it's connected directly through to the engine bay, where we have nozzles pointing at both sides of the engine, in case, of course, anything goes wrong, which hopefully it never does. Coming back here to the roll cage, this is sort of a half roll cage, so not strictly like a racing roll cage, but it's actually tied into the rear body mounts and rear suspension points, and of course the floor here where it's bolted through with big sort of plates welded on. It's designed really to look cool, but also add a hell of a lot of stiffness to the body and rear suspension of the car. Quite important when you've got this much power and you plan on using it. Speaking of power, I guess it's time we talk about this bit here, the engine. This is a 2276 Type 1 engine built around a raised roof autolinear case. On the outside, it's got 48 DRLA carburetors, a very nice carbon fibre Porsche style sort of fan shroud system, nice ignition, beautiful exhaust by Dave over at Jake's side, which unfortunately most of which you can't see, but internally that's where things are exciting. It has a whole heap of upgrades, basically meaning that this engine kicks out around 180 brake and revs to around 7,500 RPM, so it's a screamer. So helping keep this engine cool, we've got these large NACA ducts here, both sort of twin entry ones. One port goes directly to the engine bay on each side, and the other goes down to this oil cooler box here. So this oil cooler box has a fan underneath it, which helps pull through nice cold air from the outside. Works really nicely, helps keep things cool. And the other ports that go into the engine bay actually exit just a little bit above the carburetors. You can't quite see here, but you can see the nozzle for the fire extinguisher. We have quite a few gearbox things going on as well. We've got race axles, we've got super diff, welded first and second, and I think it's a gusseted case as well. But honestly, I'm not a big gearbox guy, so I'm not 100% up to spec, but it seems to handle the power pretty well. But contrary to the power of this engine, it is actually a very nice, smooth engine to use, and it is still completely rubber mounted. I'm very sort of stuck in my ways. I like rubber mounts. I don't really like the urethane or the sort of grey urethane ones that you can get. The rubber mounts on this seem to work really nicely, and we do have an extra mid mount on there as well, hopefully to keep everything in check, but we'll soon find out. I should probably show these wheels off a little bit as well. They're an absolutely fantastic centre lock BBS style wheel made by a company not far from here called Image Wheels. In the back end, they're wrapped in a set of semi-slick Nankang NS2R tyres, and in the front, unfortunately, I had to go something fairly low profile. If I went any bigger, it actually ends up hitting me outside of the arch, so I was very limited there as to what sort of tyre I could run. The main thing is, where the power is, we do have a set of fairly sticky, sort of semi-slick tyres, hopefully to keep everything in check. So I have been out this week and I've been trying out my launch. And by watching my video in slow motion, I've learned a couple of things. Number one, the rear suspension. It looks to be a little bit soft at the moment. Now, we do have adjustable dampers, so I'm going to go around and I'm going to turn those up a couple of clicks and hopefully eliminate the heavy squatting that we've got in the back end. And number two, it's about time I bought a rev limiter. Now, I've been driving this car around without a rev limiter all summer, but I haven't been driving it all that fast. So it's about time I actually fit one now, ensuring that I'm not going to over-rev the engine, getting too excited when I'm racing the car, because that could spell absolute disaster. So I've gone for this Omex Speed System rev limiter. It's programmable, so I can set the red line wherever I like, and it's fairly easy to adjust as well. So if I want to open it up a little bit more after I've got a little bit more confident with the car, it only takes a couple of seconds to do so. It's a pretty simple install. All I've really got to do is connect it to both sides of the ignition coil, ground, and then find somewhere suitable to mount it. So I'm going to mount it on top of my oil cooler box in the back, because I can get to that fairly easily, and it's also close to the engine bay, so I've not got to run the wiring particularly very long. It is a little bit tight for me back here, but we've got the wiring ran through, tidied up quite nicely, cut it to length. I'm going to crimp the connectors on, do some heat shrink, run some flexible conduit over the top, make it look a little bit neater. Okay, so that's all essentially in and wired up now, which was pretty easy. Next thing, as you might have noticed, is this little unit comes with a shift light, which is great. But like everything else, this is designed for a car that's got the engine in the front, so this just isn't long enough. So next thing now, put a slight extension in that and pick somewhere to put this on the dashboard so that I can see it when I need to. Shift light mounted. Decided to put it there. It's nice and easy and in view, and it doesn't look too obvious because I don't want it looking like in the way or like just shoehorned in there. So I think that looks quite neat. All to do now, I guess, is actually set up the rev limit, which I'm going to set to 7 for now. So maybe if I want, I can open it up a little bit more on the day, but I don't think we're going to be going crazy. I really just don't want to blow my car up. So let's cut to the numbers. What do I want out of it? I really want a 13. Anything below 15 is considered sort of like fast Beetle territory. But one thing that's kind of against it quite heavily is the gearing. Rather than having sort of like quite a short ratio racey box in it, it's very sort of long. It's designed for like motorway, like freeway miles, being like a freeway flyer gearbox. So I may be going over the line in third gear, but I don't know. Also, how well am I going to be able to drive it? Am I going to kick its head in? Am I going to pussy out? I don't know. I mean, I'd be happy with anything below 14, really. But I guess we've got to wait and see. did make it. Here in the fire plane. Good run. Fairly happy with that. Good car. Good fucking car. I do think maybe slightly bit of clutch is needed though. I've got a Kennedy stage 1 at the moment and it's great on the street, but with a grip here on the track, I'm just doing a lot of clutch slipping and I think that's where I'm falling a little bit short. However, happy. So, what times did we actually manage? Well, the best after 3 runs was a 40.8. There's probably a little bit more in it if I stretch it a little bit more or launch a little bit harder, etc. But I didn't really want to kick its head in too far. But yeah, so 14.8 was the best we got. Honestly, a tiny bit disappointed, but it handled so well on the drive there and the drive back and on the track. And for a car that does it all, I guess it's not too bad. But yeah, happy, finally, the car's done some actual runs, and results, not too bad. So for the rest of the day, you decided to drop the car off in the show and shine, and let it do what it does best, sit around and look pretty. So if I really do want this car to be quick, like 12, 13 second quick, what do? Well, we give it more power. That's only realistically the only way it's actually going to get there without compromising other parts of the car. Am I going to be able to put a bigger engine in it or turbocharge it, fuel injection, all that kind of stuff? No, I can't afford it. But maybe one day. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. Yeah, like I say, hopefully we're going to be doing some more sort of YouTube stuff here and there. Let us know if you think of anything that we might cover or should cover or anything like that. And yeah, thank you again for watching, and hit the like and subscribe, please. Thank you.